Hi, everybody. Dan Illman taking a look at this Friday's Stronach 5 sequence. 3 races at Laurel Park, 2 races at Gulfstream Park. Really tough sequence this week. I did not make a ticket maker ticket this week, although I urge you that that's probably the best way to play these multiple race wagers. You can find Ticket Maker, of course, on DRF.com. What I'm going to do in this video is just basically give you horses that I believe are contenders and that you should consider. Do with the information what you wish. But here are the horses that I'm intrigued with. You're going to have a big advantage over me in taking a look at race number 8 at Laurel, the first leg of the Stronach 5, because it's a 5.5 furlong maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies on the turf. Many of these horses are first-time starters. You'll have the opportunity to watch the board and see which horses are taking money. I would urge you, if a Graham Motion first-time starter by American Pharaoh, and we'll get to her in a minute, takes money, that's not that big a deal. But if one of the lower profile, lower pedigree horses take money, that is something to certainly keep an eye out for. You'll also be able to take a look at these horses in the paddock in post-parade. I usually prefer experienced horses over first-time starters in any maiden race, especially with 2-year-olds. And the 2 horses that have run on turf already, the 3 Jen's the Boss, the 1 Hello Beautiful, these are horses that I just have to use in the Stronach 5. Jen's the Boss took a ton of money for her career debut. She's by the turf-loving stallion Street Boss, and she just had the kind of trip that I like to see from first-time starters that I think can improve off of that effort. She just didn't break very well. She hadn't rushed up and made a clear lead, and she understandably got tired late. With a clean break, she should be controlling the pace, and she should be prominent when the field turns into the stretch. Hello Beautiful improved in her second lifetime start when finishing ahead of Jen's the Boss. You could argue she had a little bit of a better trip, but she draws inside here, and why can't she get another good trip under Sheldon Russell? These 2 horses, I think, are very, very logical and very solid. Of the first-time starters, I definitely want to use the number 2, Bernadette the Jet. Her merits on paper are obvious. She is by Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh. She sold for $425,000 as a yearling, and she is trained by Graham Motion, who's certainly capable of winning with the debuting turf sprinter. This filly is also a half to social inclusion, a very fleet horse that was 3rd in the Preakness. The dam was graded stakes place going long. Bernadette the Jet shows some quick workouts, and I have to use her. I like this nice inside post position. And the American Pharaohs, perhaps surprisingly, doing very, very well on the turf thus far in his young stud career. So Bernadette the Jet, Hello Beautiful, Jen's the Boss, 213 would be my main plays. If I wanted to use a backup at a price, it's a first-time starter on the outside. That's 10. 3-sided story. She is by the extremely talented stallion Warfront. Many of the Warfronts love the turf. This dam was a stakes winner overseas on the grass. I like the work Tom Proctor does with his horses. 3-sided story doesn't have a great post position, going 5.5 on the turf at Laurel. But maybe if this horse takes some sneaky money, you might want to include, at least as a backup, on your ticket maker play. We'll move to race number 9, and I had a really tough time with this race. It's a 7 furlong allowance, not winners of one other than for fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up. And the 9 Marvelous Martina just makes a lot of sense based on her last 2 dirt buyers, 74, 72. But I think it's worth noting that May 17th race, Marvelous Martina seemed to be struggling on her left lead all the way down to the wire. She was then listed as a vet scratch in her subsequent start, and then they ran her on the turf, where she just doesn't seem to like that footing. Getting back to dirt, cutting back in distance, she's logical on paper. I wouldn't want to take a very short price on her to win. The question is, do you really want to throw her out, though? I don't really see too many alternatives in this race to Marvelous Martina, so I've tried to come up with a couple. The 2 Steamy Hot, on paper, you're going to take a look at that layoff of over a year, and you're going to immediately dismiss Steamy Hot, and I think that would be a mistake. Because trainer Mary Epler, if you look at her record in Formulator with horses coming off 365 days or greater, it's very, very good. I believe she's even 2 for her last 2 with big prices. This horse is a strong work tab leading up to the race, and I think Steamy Hot is going to be ready to fire despite this long layoff. She was a filly that was showing talent as a 3-year-old. She was buying 74 as a 3-year-old. She's now 4, bigger and stronger. The layoff, obviously a concern, but this barn does win with these kind of horses. I think the 9 and the 2 are logical horses, but I would also want to use 2 others as it pertains to the Stronach 5, and I'm not sure whether I want to use them as A's or B's. I want to talk about the 11 Setubal. The last time Setubal raced at Laurel was around a 2-turn race on March the 23rd, and she went after the odds-on winner right from the get-go. Pressed that horse all the way around the racetrack, and it was no disgrace that she couldn't get by when easily second best. Last time out at Parks, she was down inside. She angled out in the stretch. She got a little bit tired. She lacks a winning profile. 7 times second from 20 lifetime starts. But all she needs is a little bit of pace, and I like her cutting back to 7 furlongs. If you're looking for a curious pace play at a price, take a look at the 1 Malibu Surprise. There does not appear to be a lot of speed in this race, and Malibu Surprise got caught up in a pace duel last time out in only her second start of the form cycle. Now it's her third race back. She draws inside. Fergal Lynch has got to be on a send mission. This horse is 12-1 on the morning line. Malibu Surprise is a horse you probably should consider. On form, the 9 Marvelous Martina. On figures, the 9 Marvelous Martina figures. The 2 Steamy Hot has that trainer pattern you might want to consider. The 11 Setubal has that angle route to sprint that does seem to succeed in these longer distance sprints. And the 1 Malibu Surprise might be the lone speed, and that might be all you need in a race like this. The third leg of the Stronach 5 on Friday is the finale at Laurel. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. It's a maiden claiming race, 16,000 down to 14, and I'm just going to press the 9, Best at Getting Better, who hasn't really done much running from 3 lifetime starts, but is dropping to her cheapest level. And her most recent start on turf at Pimlico, it really wasn't a bad effort. She showed a little bit of speed, she got tired, and she's supposed to get tired. It was her first race since October. Trainer Horatio De Paz is winning at a very high rate this year. Best at Getting Better just needs to improve slightly, I think, to be right there at the wire against what looks like an extremely hungry field. Deeper pocketed handicappers will use horses like the 7 Silver Sides, who has buyers 2 and 3 back that indicate she can win this race. Maybe the 10 Suzette Star, a horse that ran, I guess, respectably enough at 60-1 in her turf debut 2 starts back. And the 11 Buddha Kai, who's 0 for 25 and has never even run second. That's how weak this race is on paper, and that's why I want to spread the 9. Best at Getting Better. Jackie Correa had a choice of this horse and another. He went on Best at Getting Better, and I'm hoping I can squeeze through this race with basically just her. Race number 9 is at Gulfstream, and it's the 4th leg of the Stronach 5. It's a condition claimer at 6 furlongs, and I really like the number 1 Gossip Isle in this race. Gossip Isle is going turf to dirt, and that was been a pretty good move for her because 2 starts back, she ran her best race going turf to dirt. It was a race over a sloppy track, and if you watched the races at Gulfstream on June the 14th, you needed to be on the lead, you needed to be down towards the inside. Gossip Isle was 3 wide in the 4-path on the turn, and she finished 3rd in a race that has produced several next-out winners. Her last race on turf I completely throw out. It is up to Chucky Lopez to break with this filly and get aggressive out of the gate and get a good forward position, because I think if she gets that kind of trip where she's up close, she has a big chance at pulling off an upset. Another horse that is very logical is the 8 Susikin. I'm not a big fan of Susikin. They've really never intended to have her on the dirt. The only time she's raced on dirt was a race and was washed off last fall. And while she ran okay, she certainly didn't knock my socks off. But this is Gilberto Zerpa taking a gigantic drop in class with a horse moving turf to dirt. And if you look at the formulator PPs, these horses win at a very, very high rate. Susikan at 9-5. I'm not really thrilled about her. And to be honest with you, I might even just use her as a deep backup. But Gossip Isle to me is the kind of horse that I think might be able to pull off a little bit of an upset. The 4 Second Illusion is another horse you might want to consider as a backup ticket. Although, while this one is coming off of a year layoff, her trainer doesn't have the same success that Mary Epler does with the horse at Laurel. So perhaps Second Illusion might need the race. But I'm hoping Gossip Isle, 6-1 on the morning line, can maybe be up close and finish it off at a good price. And speaking of finishing things off, we complete the Stronach 5 sequence with race number 10 at Gulfstream, $25,000 maiden claimer. It's at about 7.5 furlongs on the turf. It is a 2-turn race. I think the 5 El Duque is going to be very tough in here. She's only raced twice on the turf, but 2 starts back. It was a very fast-paced race, and El Duque was bumped at the start, completely outrun, but showed a willingness to finish. And I think he has enough pedigree that he is going to appreciate stretching out to around 2 turns for the first time. He's the second choice on the morning line. I want to use a lot of El Duque in the Stronach 5, and if I need a backup, it'll be the 2 All D Hype, because there are angles here. He is a half-brother to 3 turf winners. He is dropping from a maiden special to a maiden claimer for the first time and stretching out 3 furlongs in distance. I believe that this horse might have the speed to make the lead, and if he does, he can back this pace down and take it a long way. Out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare, he should be able to handle the distance. El Duque, I think, is the horse to beat. Aldi Hype is sort of the interesting angle horse trying turf and dropping in class for the first time. Bambino, the 6, would be a very, very deep backup. The horse has run twice on dirt. Listen, he's been bet both times. He's had the misfortune to take on runaway winners both times. These horses are not great. And if Bambino takes to the turf, he's going to be tough. Although I usually don't love anything with Bernardini on turf, and this dam is by Bernardini. Stronach 5, a fun race on Friday. 3 races from Laurel Park. Fun sequence on Friday. 3 races at Laurel Park, 2 at Gulfstream. Sequence begins. Race number 8 at Laurel, 4:50 Eastern. Best of luck.